is time for Around the 412 with Smitty and Tyler.
Welcome back to another episode of Around the 412. I am Tyler. With me, as always, is my co-host Smitty. Be sure to go follow us on all of our social medias at Around the 412 as well. Go subscribe to our YouTube. Hit the notification bell, leave a like, and leave a comment. Let us know what you want to see on there. Go check out some of the links in the descriptions while you're at it on the listening platform and on YouTube. We have year 6 of Rocking Around the 412 in there, the GoFundMe link. You can go check out the mission, read all about it. The first 5 years, we've raised over $25,000 with the help of all of you guys to give back Christmas to some of the kids in our local 724 and 412 area codes. Smitty and I were fortunate enough to never really have to worry about where Christmas was coming from that time of year. And so we want to try to be able to give back to some of these kids that weren't as fortunate as we are, as well as we have partnered with the East Rochester Salvation Army to adopt kids off of their angel tree and provide some of those kids for Christmas as well. And then also we have an Etsy link and a Facebook link for our friend Haley Wagner's company, Everything Custom Designs. You can go check that out and you can order some shirts, not hats, but some shirts. And yes, we are going to continue to bring up the hats until we get hats.
I want hats. I'm a huge trucker hat guy. This is a trucker hat that I'm wearing right now. Once I can get some Around the 412 hats from
Is there anything
Haley,
on that
I'll be
hat?
satisfied.
It's so white that I can't tell.
It's a lightning bolt.
Ah, I see it now. Okay.
Yeah,
I couldn't
it's
tell.
silver,
It was just so like it was shining so bright. It kind of bringing a glare in my eye.
Hey.
All right.
Yeah, so this is the Around the 412.
Goes with the Pittsburgh Clothing Company shirt you're wearing.
This is a Pittsburgh Clothing Company shirt.
Game recognized game.
Pittsburgh's very own. Shout out to DeMar Hamlin. Obviously, Pittsburgh legend, Buffalo Bill. Shout out to him for making the Bills 53-man roster as well. So, great comeback story. Do we have to do a whole song and dance, or can he just win comeback player of the year before it starts? Like, what are we doing?
That's a good point.
What's the point? Let's talk about the Pirates, though. This is the Pirates episode. We've already put out the Steelers and Penguins episodes for the week at this point, so you can go check out those. Be sure to subscribe, leave us a like, hit that notification bell so you know when we post another Pirates episode, if that's what you're into, or any of the other episodes as well. Every time we upload something, you guys would get a notification. Paul Skenes, we talked about him making his debut last week. He hadn't made his debut yet in Altoona. If you look at the box score, it looks like he got roughed up a little bit. I will say people that were there were kind of like, okay, listen, like he was getting squeezed by the umps. At least like 3 of those singles should have been fielded. Like it really wasn't that bad of a performance. The velocity was still like it was fine. No need to worry. But when you don't have the benefit of being there and seeing that, and all you're going is based off the box score, and you see him make his first appearance at Altoona and see him give up 4 runs in 2/3 of an inning, you know, especially in Pittsburgh, especially with the way Pirates fans are, there's going to be like this huge press the panic button. Oh my God, this wasn't the right pick moment going on Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, I got to say, I didn't panic, but I just before recording this, I did let out a big laugh, and I'm not sure if you noticed that, but it's because I looked at his stats page, and his hits per 9 right now in AA is 40.5 per 9 innings, which is just comically bad. So I just let out a laugh.
That's the thing. It's fun. Like I'm not worried about him.
I'm not worried about this in the
funny
slightest.
that it happened. Like
every start is situational. Just because a box score says something, it doesn't mean that it played out the way that you would think it does. So I'm not worried in the slightest. I mean, he had to not necessarily have a fall from grace eventually, but like the way that he started in rookie ball and then in single A, like I'm not worried if he had a rough go of an inning in AA. I mean, he's going to get some more innings in AA. And that's the thing. He could come out and have 3 strikeouts or 2 strikeouts and some shutout ball, and it would be completely fine and look like he did when he was in Bradenton, and nobody will be worried anymore, and nobody will even be talking about this one appearance in Altoona. What I think is even more laughable is if you Google Paul Skenes, one of the first articles that comes up is Olivia Dunne attends boyfriend Paul Skenes' disastrous debut at AA. Like what is that? What?
That should be what we title this, but
honestly, like the major Olivia Dunne watches boyfriend Paul Skenes struggle in AA debut. Like there's 2 articles that
I
are
like
directly
Disastrous
about
better.
top pick Paul Skenes gets shelled in AA debut. Yes, girlfriend Olivia Dunne was in attendance. That's another one. There are 3 different articles just that she was in attendance to watch him struggle the disastrous start in AA. You know, if that is what we are actually concerned about, and that's what the articles are being written about, I'm not concerned about what Pirates fans think. I think it's comical. I think it is what it is. It sucks for him to have that outing, but I don't really think that it's going to affect him whatsoever. He'll come back and pitch totally fine. And the next one, I'm very confident of that. I just think this is a bunch of smoke blown out over by a bunch of Pirate fans that, you know, we're Pirate fans. It's in the tendency of Pirate fans to overreact to some very small sample sizes. So it is what it is.
In the short term, too, I just thought about this because of the attendance. Over 10K people there. They set a new ballpark record. In the short term, this is great for Altoona and their community and stuff. Like the money that they're going to bring in through ticket sales when he starts and the concessions, just having that many people in the ballpark and like in the area of Altoona. I mean, hey, shout out to Josh Banks. That Altoona pizza is going to be through the roof right now. But yeah,
I just thought about there's going to be a lot of curve burgers sold.
Yeah. No, well, also, Taylor Hearn.
That is a throwback, by the way.
He pitches for the Royals now, who the Pirates are playing.
If you were around the 412 OG, you understand that reference. Taylor Hearn and a curve burger.
Taylor was the 3rd player to come on the show, and it's one of the wildest. It ended up just being me that recorded with him, and there was no like sign off of the podcast. Like you just heard the beep 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 or whatever, like the 3 when you hang up a phone call, and that was the end of the podcast because I didn't know what I was doing.
It was kind of iconic, honestly.
Yeah. But yeah, so I remember like the first Altoona game we went to, I hit up Taylor and was like, hey, what's good food? Like, and I just meant in the area. I didn't mean specifically in the ballpark.
Yeah.
And he was like, well, I eat a curve burger before every start. So that's the go-to. So I would assume those are still a thing. I mean, they're called curve burgers. So anybody in Altoona, if you're going out to watch Paul Skenes pitch, get a curve burger and pair it nicely with the next time he hits the mound, because I think it's going to be a lot more successful if I were to predict that. All right, let's talk about the big club, though. Enough about Paul Skenes and, or I'm sorry, not Paul Skenes, Livvy's
Enough
boyfriend.
about Olivia Dunne's boyfriend.
Yeah. Let's talk about the Pirates. I want to ask you, and this is going to be on the surface a question that I don't know that people are going to understand why I'm bringing one thing into another. Do you think that the way that T. Brian Hayes has swung the bat lately and the way it looks like he's going to kind of go into the end of the season is going to give him a better opportunity to finally win that Gold Glove that has eluded him? And the reason that I say this is, for whatever reason, for a defensive award, the bat, it playing at least a little bit, being at least an average hitter, seems to matter. So do you think that the way that he's kind of come around the last couple, I feel like it's been about a month now since his bat's come around, gives him a better chance of finally winning that Gold Glove?
I think it does. It does. And that's not to say that he's going to win it, but I think it at least puts him in a better situation. You look at his months just on the season, and his August is batting .323, and his on base is .366, compared to like his June was also a really good month with .337 batting average and on base percentage. But then you have like May and April and March where he struggled. He only had one started game. He had 4 plate appearances in the month of July, so I'm not even going to include that one. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I do think it is putting him in a better situation to be able to win that Gold Glove. You know, the award's stupid in the first off. The award's stupid in the sense of how it is.
I'm so pumped for
determined.
Nolan Arenado to just win it again anyway.
Yeah, it's just so dumb that Nolan Arenado. And wait, hold on. While we're talking about Nolan Arenado, can we just talk about how stupid it was for that one Twitter page to talk about a highlight of a single of Nolan Arenado? They were literally in awe of a play. A play that didn't happen.
If it wasn't. Yeah.
In the box score, that's a single. With your eyes, that's a single. But they're looking at the throw that he made, and he didn't get the out, but they're still in awe of it. Nolan Arenado, most overrated third baseman in MLB. That's just my opinion. For how he is viewed defensively, he's the most overrated third baseman. But yeah, I think this puts Brian Hayes in a better situation. I don't think he'll win it still. The guy we're talking about will probably win it. However, I think that if you're looking at what the award should be, it should be just a defensive award. And if you're looking at defense, there's not many third basemen better defensively in the MLB than Brian Hayes. So I think he's very deserving. But, this award's dumb. And I've always thought that this award is dumb, the Gold Glove. At least how the award is picked is dumb. It's kind of like the Selke in the NHL. It's not the best defensive player in the NHL. It is the best defensive forward with a lot of offensive points as well. And that's kind of how it is with Gold Glove awards. It's not just who is the best defensive position player. It is who is the best player defensively at these positions that also has a pretty good batting average and on-base percentage like that. And I think that's dumb. I think that the awards should be looked at for what they are. If it is a defensive award, it should just be the defensive metrics that are a merit for it. But that's neither here nor there. To answer your question, yes, I do think this puts him in a better situation, especially looking at the month of August by himself. If he continues that into September, I think he's in a prime spot to be able to win that award. But at the same time, he probably won't. That's just my opinion.
I'm really hoping this is the year. And I do think it could be for a lot of the reasons that we talked about. I feel like he's viewed by people that actually pay attention to the advanced numbers of baseball and the analytical side as the best defensive third baseman and maybe the best overall defensive player in baseball at this point. Just the things that he makes look routine that aren't routine is ridiculous. I feel like if he's going to win it, it's going to be this year. And once he wins one, that should give him the name recognition to win multiple going forward. So that's kind of what we're talking about. It doesn't always go to the most deserving. You got to kind of have that name recognition. But if he can get one, put one on the mantle, all of a sudden his name's going to be in that mix every single year.
Yeah, but did you see that one play from Nolan Arenado where he didn't get an out?
That tweet was hilarious. It was like, but imagine if it was.
I don't know how to respond to that. Imagine if anything. Imagine if every hit that Barry Bonds hit was a home run. He'd have 10,000. It's just a stupid thing to say.
Great point. Also, and you might want to pull something up as we talk about this, but Johan Oviedo, if you look at his season as a whole, it's wild. Start by start.
I pulled stuff up. I have a little bit of stats if we want to go through some of the hot and cold of Oviedo.
He's amongst or at the top of quality starts in all of baseball. But if you look at the starts that aren't a quality start, it's either he's pitching fantastic. The reason that he's on here is because he threw a 2-hit complete game against the Royals last night, or he's getting shelled and giving up 7 runs in 3 innings or something like that. So I don't know what the middle ground is here. I'd like to find a more consistent, middle ground, but at the same time, it's not like we had a ton of expectation for this guy. Now the Pirates might, because of other circumstances, such as, Rowanzi not being what we had hoped, or Quinn Priest, they're not working out to this point, Ortiz falling off. They might need him to be better, but that's not necessarily the expectation we came in with. We thought he was kind of a back end starter. So if this is the type of performance you can get out of a guy like that, it's greatly exceeding expectation. So I guess you have to kind of take the good with the bad, but man, we're about to talk about it. If you got the numbers in front of you, some of the starts that he's had.
I do. And so I was like, let me try to break this up so I can put a little bit of context, how back and forth Oviedo's season has been. And me and you, the stats that I'm giving, these are every other start or every couple starts, they're switching. So he has had, with games that are 5 innings pitched or less, he's had 11 starts with 5 innings pitched or less. When he's gone into the 6th, so 5 1/3 or more, he has 16 starts of those. So it's pretty he has more going into the game longer, but it's still he has 11 of less and 16 or more. I mean, he has a couple of games where he's only pitched 2 1/3 or 2 2/3. He has a couple of games like that. And then when you look at like the runs he's giving up, he has 10 games with 4 or more runs given up, and he has multiple games of giving up like 7 or 8. He had a couple games in a row where he did that. But then he also has 17 games with 3 or less runs given up. He has 13 games with 1 or less runs given up, and he has 3 shutout appearances, including his most recent start where he pitched a complete game shutout. This dude has been so hot and cold. I mean, we talk about like Mitch Keller before as if he was hot and cold. Looking at this dude's game log, it is just night and day. Like you go from like he pitched 2 1/3 and he gave up 8 to he pitched 8 innings and he gave up 1 or none. Like that's how drastic it is from start to start with this guy. I have no idea what to make of it, but it's fascinating just looking at his season as a whole and putting this together. Like how is like he's actually like on the season, I'd say just pretty decent overall if you just look at his flat out numbers for the season. But then when you really get into it and actually look at how we've gotten to this baseline like season numbers and actually look at the starts that he's had, it's fascinating to see how hot and cold this dude has been through the entire season.
Yeah, I mean, like overall, you'd probably say he's been the Pirates' second best pitcher behind Mitch Keller. But the highs have been higher than Mitch Keller. It's just the lower, like he hasn't been as consistent. And I know Keller had like a rocky month or so post All-Star break. Good news is he looks like he's come out of the other side of that and gotten back to pretty close to that pre-All-Star break form. He had his last start 8 innings of really good baseball. So, yeah, I mean, I hope that these guys can both finish out the season strong. But Johan Oviedo's, yeah, when he's on, he's been ridiculous. And it really seems like it's all about location. If he's painting those corners, you know he's going deep into a ball game. It was probably the 1 runner less stat that I saw because 13 outings with 1 runner less, that's stupid. Yeah. That has to be like at the top of baseball.
Yeah, he has 13 games with 1 runner less, but then you look at his like some of his other games, and I'm just looking at just picking out some. There's a game with 7. There's 2 games with 5. Like I'll just go month by month. In the month of April, he had 2 games with 5 and 1 game with 7. In the month of May, he had 1 game with 7. And June was his best overall month, at least with a run total. And then he had a game with 8, a game with 5, another game with 5 in July. And then so far in August, he's had 1 game with 6, 1 game with 4, and then 2 shutouts and 2 1-run games in August. So, but then I'm not even skipping. I'm skipping over the games where he has like 1 run or less. Like he has a lot of those, and like you said, like 13 games with 1 or less. That's got to be league high or close to it.
Yeah, impressive stuff on that end, and you just hope he can find some more consistency and get closer to that type of player on a more regular basis, because obviously like the Pirates are going to need that. Like we've talked about, they haven't gotten the production that we thought they might from a Roansy Contreras or a Quinn Priester yet. Ortiz looks like he was potentially a flash in the pan last year, so who knows. Although he's looked okay. He's actually pitching right now during this game, breaking the 4th wall as of recording this. But yeah, I think they kind of need at this point Oviedo to be, I don't know that he needs to be that, like he's not gonna be that good all the time. Like that's ridiculous, but closer to that end of the spectrum and not have those
closer to the average of what he is. Just find the consistency. Honestly, a lot of what we talked about with Mitch Keller whenever he was early on with his Pirates, like find the consistency.
If you can get Oviedo to be like 2023 Mitch Keller, I think you take that.
Absolutely. And that's another thing is like you have this guy for what, 2 more ARB years? I think he's got a couple more years of control. It's gotta be, So it's a guy that you can continue to work on. But it's a wild season for him. It was really fun to look at his stats.
Yeah. All right. So I think that's it. You guys can let us know how you feel about Johan Oviedo in the comments. Let us know if you feel like he is a piece going forward. Are you worried about Paul Skenes, unlike us? Let us know in the comments about that as well. And let's make a prediction, because I think T. Brian Hayes is going to win the Gold Glove this year. Tyler does not believe so. So whose side are you on this debate? Is T. Brian Hayes going to finally take home that Gold Glove at 3rd base? Let us know in the comments that as well. If you are listening somewhere other than YouTube, please leave us a 5-star review. Of course, you probably already are subscribed, but please do that. If you are on YouTube, subscribe. hit that notification bell, leave us a like, and like I said, comment down below. Go check out another episode, whether that's a Steelers or Penguins show, maybe a different Pirates one that you missed, any of the other content on the channels. I know we still got like some of our athlete interviews that we've done in the past on a playlist. I should probably create separate playlists for these now too, so I'll do that too. Just talking to myself now through you guys. But I think that does it. So for Tyler, for Smitty, that's been the Around the 412 Pirates show, and we will see you guys next week. Bye-bye.